My name is Jeremy Again. I'm 26 years old and from the small island developing state of Seychelles. I predominantly work with the Seychelles Islands Foundation, which manages and protects Seychelles' two UNESCO World Heritage Sites, the Vallée de Mai and Aldabra Atoll, as their communications and outreach coordinator. In my spare time, I volunteer as a global shaper and also a young ocean leader with the Sustainable Ocean Alliance. Within the Sustainable Ocean Alliance, I am a member of its Youth Policy Advisory Council, which has a campaign against deep seabed mining and also advocates for youth's priorities within the blue economy. Deep seabed mining is a little-known activity with big implications. As a blue economy champion, Seychelles' position on deep seabed mining is significant. Whether it can be included in a sustainable and equitable blue economy is a topic of discussion we should have, and in my belief, it is not something that can be included in our blue economy. SOA is calling upon all of us to join a 10-year moratorium in line with the UN's Decade for Ocean Science to allow us to have more research on what the implications and risks are with such an activity. It's also a chance for the world to expand the circular economy, which could potentially create more solutions instead of risks and damages to our planet. As an African, as an islander and a young person, I believe this moratorium will give us the time to make informed decisions. It will also allow the International Seabed Authority's decision-making process to be more accountable, transparent and inclusive. We must take action now and be responsible so that we do not end up with a future that we cannot live in. This time is one in which we must ask the hard questions and include as many participants in this conversation. In Seychelles, we interviewed several Seychellois who are engaged in the topic of deep sea and the deep seabed mining activities. This is a chance for you to listen to their opinions and ideas about what this means for Seychelles and the world.
The deep sea essentially is the ocean below 200 meters. Okay, so everything below that. And in Seychelles, we have a tendency of doing research where it's most accessible. So that's between 0 and 300 meters in our marine ecosystems. And being able to go further down in the deep sea requires a whole bunch of different types of specialized technology and equipment. So exploring the deep sea has been undervalued within our system just because we don't have the technology. But it's really important because it sustains life, and there's still a lot that we don't know about the deep sea. One of the amazing opportunities that Seychelles and different organizations partnered with was Necton First Descent, which gave Seychellois and government a first glimpse to the ocean below scuba depth. And being able to see the progression from 0 to 300 meters is something that a lot of Seychellois who participated will never forget.
The blue economy, which defined by the Seychelles government, is sustainable usage of our marine resources, and to preserve the natural ecosystem, but also to make sure that the wealth that we get from these activities are shared equitably. For the moment, we have activities in the fisheries and the tourism sector. We are also venturing in the aquaculture. But for the future, we are endeavoring to start a biotech sector, industry. And we are also thinking of marine renewables. There is also potential for marine science to be more developed and also better data management opportunities. Yeah.
I can tell you what economic activities should not be included in the blue economy. We should not have industrial fisheries like we do now because that's unsustainable, it's proven. We should not have oil and gas because that's fossil fuel extraction that leads to climate change. We should not have any industry that does not lead us to a low carbon economy and to a more sustainable and equitable society. So that's what we must not have. Anything else is okay. So this is where we must go. That's our trajectory. Well, deep sea extraction is something that's a conundrum, because if you look at what people are talking about right now when they mean deep sea extraction, it's about polymetallic nodules. And we know that China and India are active in the Indian Ocean looking for these. But for us in the Seychelles and perhaps many of the small island states, it's really so far off, it's like a mirage.
I think deep sea mining does affect all of us because we don't know what is below our oceans. We know more about space probably than we do about our own oceans, right? Especially below 200 meters. So what happens down there may affect us all in future, but we don't know that yet. Giving a Seychelles context, there are probably more prominent issues that we are faced with, such as overfishing or global climate change. So it's not perhaps the biggest focus here, just because we're not affected by it on our day-to-day lives. But I think we should all take an interest in what deep sea mining means to the world.
Seychelles does not currently have a position on deep seabed mining, but we do have involvement in that area. In 1983, we did allow an Indian survey to come and do a survey for polymetallic nodules in our waters, our EEZ. And also we joined the International Seabed Authority in 1994. And since then, we have had some participation here and there, but we haven't been actively been present. The International Seabed Authority has the mandate to manage and control the activities that happens in the areas beyond national jurisdictions, which is what we call the area or the high seas. And they do this through management of capacity building. They give out contracts to countries who wants to do research in the area. At the moment, there is no actual mining activities, there's only research. At the moment, the Seychelles involvement in the international seabed, deep seabed mining activities is very minimal, but there are activities in areas which is close to Seychelles. As you know, Seychelles jointly manages an area of about 496,000 square kilometers with Mauritius. And there is an area which is contracted out to about 6 different countries, which is east to that area. So we are keeping a close eye on it.
So now we know that a huge area, almost the entirety of the SeychellesEEZ has been leased out in blocks to petroleum exploration companies. So you have this huge area that's potentially there for petroleum extraction if they find these deposits that can be commercially exploited. We also see the joint management area of the extended continental shelf between Mauritius and Seychelles, where basically their main interest is oil. So what is happening here is this is very imminent. This could happen at any time. And yes, we have a Petroleum Mining Act. We have some institutions here, okay? We have very recently the World Bank has putting the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative. But on the environmental and sustainable development side, we have very little. We don't have the capacity, we don't have the expertise, we don't even have the protocols for any of this. And we can see even in a larger country like Mauritius, what happened when there was an oil spill from a bulk carrier. There was actually chaos. And nobody has been able to tell anybody what has happened and what are the impacts.
It's difficult to comprehend the effects that it will have on Seychelles' blue economy. Like I said, it's we don't know a lot about the effects. The information is still coming in. In fact, there's a lot of papers that have just been published this year explaining that deep sea mining might have an effect on locations and islands far away from where minerals are being mined. Within the Seychelles context, again, that's hard to understand. But what we do know is that there's still a lot to discover below 200 meters. We still know that there might be a coral with some special enzyme that might hold the secrets of the cure for cancer. There might be species that are important for regulation of temperature or, absorption of carbon. We just don't know. And generally, the best thing to do is to do more research and to take the precautionary approach, as opposed to diving into an industry where we might have extremely long-term effects. And we just give in.
So we don't know much. We don't know much. Again, as I've said, we know much more about the petroleum, the oil and gas deposits here. Okay, there's been a lot of work done. So there's quite a lot of knowledge of the geology and so forth. We don't know much about what nodules or polymetallic deposits are around here. We don't even know where these hydrothermal vents are, whether they're extinct or whether they are still active. So that's the first step, is that knowledge. We don't have knowledge of it. So where are these things? So we must be able to gain much more information and much more knowledge of where these deposits are. Secondly, we know that India and China are actively looking since 2018 for these deposits. So they're already in the Indian Ocean. They haven't expressed any interest in coming to the SeychellesEEZ. So perhaps we don't have these nodules even here. We don't know. I think the first step for anybody is for the government of Seychelles to link up with some foreign organization or some international organization to try and see if we do have these deposits. So I think when we talk about the blue economy, it cannot be new wine in an old bottle. It can't be just slapping a label on something that's business as usual. So we must look really for out-of-the-box solutions, for something very different from where we are today.
Seychelles' blue economy depends on a natural environment that is pristine and healthy. The two economic pillars of this country are tourism and fisheries. For them to stay in a state that keeps on giving, they need to be able to provide for not only a local population, but also international visitors. Deep seabed mining presents an attractive option for a government that wants to continue to grow, but like fossil fuel extraction, presents severe threats to our national economy and way of life, as well as natural environment. Thus, they cannot be considered sustainable or even equitable. Something like deep seabed mining, when we know nothing about the deep sea, is tragic as it is stupid. As a country, we must speak about what happens inside our ocean territory as well as outside of our ocean territory. At the International Seabed Authorities meeting, we must tell the world that Seychelles does not know enough, and the rest of the world does not know enough to make this decision. Our call is to wait, and it's to research and learn more. We want to support a moratorium that takes 10 years of time to understand our ocean, and then make informed decision about what is possible for our countries as well as others. If we rush into something like this, the consequences may be too much for our culture, for our lifestyle, for our natural environment, and we'll pay a price we cannot afford. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to you joining this campaign.